opposite of it is that if a devotee at a high position falls down, but if he comes back to the movement, he is extraordinarily blessed by Lord Chaitanya. Why so? It is because he has accepted the humble position of being a fallen and wretched soul. He has taken the association of devotees. He has now come under the circle of Vaishnavas, and he is continuing devotional service. So Lord Chaitanya, through his mercy, has taken out all that false pride and recognition, fame, everything has been gone out because of the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Indeed, they are quite blessed. So we are not in a position here to judge those who have fallen. Please understand, we are also fallen. Please understand that we are also fallen. We are not in a position to judge those who have fallen, but we'll have to understand the circumstances so that we can avoid it. We can understand the circumstances so that we can have compassion and we are able to help. We can pray for them. Do you understand now how dangerous it is of not being humble? This is not some ordinary situation. Not being humble is not something that you can, it's good to have. No, it is not a good to have, it's a necessity. It's fundamental for our survival. I saw someone showing up their hands. Yes.
Sorry, Babu, my voice is weak.
That's fine.
Prabhu, you said that we should open up to our seniors.
Yes.
But sometimes again, we have a fear of becoming our problems to be the center point of Prajalpa, of being Prajalpas with every in the congregation. How can we avoid that?
There is a fear. The fear is that our problems becoming the Prajalpa of the congregation is a fear of our losing positions and recognition and name that a person is a good devotee. Let me say that. If I open up my heart and my opening of the heart results in someone else knowing that I have problems, that particularly is a situation which would make me afraid in two ways. One, if the other person knows, they might go and spread it around and I will lose my good name in society. The other thing would be that my fame and recognition and so on and so forth, that I have cultivated, the position, that false pride that is associated with the facade, with the image will go away. We have to stop working for the image. We have to work for ourselves. Working for ourselves requires that we open out and speak to other devotees. So don't worry about Prajalpa, but pick whoever you're supposed to pick with caution. We don't go blindly. You will have to evaluate who you are confident in talking about, and that person has to have the sensitivity of making sure that whatever is being discussed is held in confidence, and the person has 100% only one focus. They want to only help you. They are not there to criticize. They are not there to do anything. They just want to extend a rope so that you can hold on to the rope and you will be able to come up. See, the circumstances of material life are such that we don't have the ability to think through many of our own situations. You need someone else to be able to do it for you sometimes, because we are overwhelmed. We could have too much vested interest where we are looking at it from our own point of view. We don't have an alternate viewpoint. So you need an alternate viewpoint that you can trust. And getting that alternate viewpoint, you open up and then you get this done. My spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, he used to answer emails from every devotee that he used to get it from. This used to be like 400 emails every day. 400 emails every day he used to sit and take the time to answer. Sometimes there would be no prasadam, no sleeping. He used to answer emails. The emails themselves could be one page, but he used to answer instructions of 3 lines so that he could effectively communicate what needs to be said, and then the devotees can act upon it. And he never used to forego that, because sometimes people were suicidal. They used to write to him. And he could never take a chance of missing that, because if he misses that, then it would be a problem. Right? So devotees used to write to him and open up with all kinds of problems. I know to some extent, because from some of my God brothers and God sisters have shared, that he used to be involved in so many different areas, and there were many of them who were not his disciples particularly. Outside of the God family, there were many Siksha connections. And everybody used to write to him because he used to, he was connected to the whole world. And he never used to forego that. What I'm trying to say is that people used to write to him and open up. I have this problem. This requires humility for you, and this requires courage. This requires courage for one to be able to come forth and say that I have a problem. I need help. And for this you need to understand that your desires have to be properly aligned. Yes, I need my name, I need my fame, I need my recognition, I want to be seen as a good devotee by society, but yet my biggest issue is I want to be able to chant nicely. So I don't care about any of that. Let me go and get help. Akinchanadas Babaji Maharaj, he was a god brother of Srila Prabhupada. Extraordinary god brother. Extraordinary because he used to constantly be laughing. He used to try and visit Prabhupada in Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan. So Mahabodhi Prabhu, or I think it was Mahabodhi Prabhu, he was an extraordinary personality. He used to be guarding Prabhupada's door. So there were many Indians, right? And Babaji Maharaj was very diminutive. He was very simple personality. He used to not want to have Prabhupada disturbed. So Mahabodhi Prabhu used to not allow him, not allow others, to come close, because he wanted to give Prabhupada his time and his exclusivity. One day when Mahabodhi Prabhu was away, Akinchanadas Babaji Maharaj slipped into Prabhupada's room. And he slipped in and Mahabodhi Prabhu was able to look at it. The moment he went in, Prabhupada jumped out of the bed and started paying obeisances to him. And he paid obeisances. Now, he had a particular habit, Babaji Maharaj. What he used to do was, he used to go from one temple to the other. Right. He used to go from one temple to the other and spend time with devotees and so on and so forth. And devotees started, there was some prajalpa that was started about him. And the prajalpa that started about him was that he is the cause of politics between different temples and so on. So when he came in touch with those, right, when he came in touch with those gossips, what was the reaction of Babaji Maharaj? He made a statement to everyone. He said, now that all of you know my real nature, you should keep away from me. He said, now you know my real nature. At last you know my real nature as how fallen I am. Okay, you should keep away. Be careful. Now you know my real nature. So the point is, the higher you go, the more pure we are, the less dependent we are on trappings. And we have the ability to open our heart, and we have a laser-like focus saying, I want to chant nicely, and you want to kick out all the obstacles that are associated with being able to chant nicely. Do so, it's okay. Right? So Srila Prabhupada used to do that. He used to ask his disciples. Prabhupada used to ask his disciples to go to Pakistan. Go to China. And the disciple used to wonder, how will I go to Pakistan? How will I go to China? I don't have the ability to go. Brahmananda Prabhu was asked to go to Pakistan. And he didn't have money. So he took the road route to Pakistan from London, Turkey, reaching Pakistan. You can imagine how difficult that was. So he sat down in Pakistan, white body. And what does Prabhupada do? He says, do kirtan. Sat on the road and started doing kirtan. People used to spit on him. They used to throw stones. He used to start, because this is Prabhupada's order, I'm doing it. Following the Guru's orders. So devotees have experienced a lot by taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada, putting themselves in a situation where they don't have the ability to do much, but they still take shelter of Prabhupada, knowing it is his potency which is going to get them to places. It was his potency, 100%. The entire movement was Prabhupada's potency. Even now it is Prabhupada's potency. We are all under Srila Prabhupada's shelter, without compromise. So please remember this. In the path of devotional service, as we make advancement, do not forget to cultivate close relationships. Do not forget to have confidential sharing. It is very important to share confidentially and receive instructions from Vaishnavas, because we don't have the ability to see things as they can. Be very careful. Have the humility to approach Vaishnavas. First principle for help. Don't hesitate to open up. Don't hesitate to say that I have a problem. Don't hesitate to say that I can't chant. No harm. No harm. Remember, We are here to make progress together. So that is Dainya. So let us do Atma Nivedana, dedication of the self. This is actually a famous prayer, and it's actually a very potent and powerful prayer. Manushya deho geho jo kichu mo arviyo duare nanda kishore jivana marane daya mamo gela Sampade vipade jivane marane daya mama gera tua o padharane maro vira kobi jo ichha tohara nito dasha proti tua Maro vira kobi jo ichha tohara nitya rasa prati tua Kanamaya bhimoy ichha jodi tohar bhakto grihe jani janmo Janmo ichha jodi tohar bhakta grihe jani janma hari mora Pita janmo hoy jadi tuva dasa bahir mukha brahma janme nahi Kita janma hoy jata tuva dasa bahir mukha brahma janme nahi asa Bhukti mukti spriha bihi naji bhakta Lovite tago sanga anurakta Bhakti mukti spriha bhakta Lovite tago sanga anurakta Janaka janani dai tatanaya Prabhu Guru Patitu Sarvamon Janaka janani dai tatanaya Prabhu Guru Patitu Sarvamon Bhakti Vinoda kahe Shuna kano Radhanata tu hama raparano Bhakti Vinoda kahe Shuna kano Radhanata tu hama Manasya deho geho jo kichu mo tor binu tua pade nanda kishora Manasya deho geho jo kichu mo tor binu tua mind, body and family, whatever may be mine, I have surrendered at your lotus feet. O youthful son of Nanda. So we'll stop here and we'll just take each verse. Mind, body and family, whatever may be mine, I have surrendered at your lotus feet, O youthful son of Nanda. So this is Atma Nivedana, dedication of the self. This occurs when we understand and surrender, and we talk about surrender, it starts with body. What's the order? Body, words, mind. First the body has to surrender, then words, and then the mind would surrender, because the mind is most subtle. It is not easy to make the mind surrender initially. How does the body surrender? How does the body surrender? By following the regulative principles, by ensuring that the body doesn't interfere with our plans to serve Krishna and to keep Krishna in the center. The body interferes when we want to wake up early in the morning for chanting. Surrender by the body is extraordinarily important for devotional service, because until we surrender by body, the words and mind will not follow. If you have difficulty waking up in the morning, consider that we are having difficulty in the preliminary stages of body. The physical body needs to be tamed first. Once that is tamed, the words need to be tamed, and finally the mind would be tamed. Manasa Deha Geha. You first have to start with the body. So we have to work around and focus on being able to ensure that this body doesn't interfere. Right? So for example, I'll tell you my own example. My challenge is that if I eat in the evening, I cannot wake up at whatever time I wake up. And it is very sensitive, extraordinarily sensitive for me to ensure that I have one meal a day. And I've kind of come to this conclusion after studying it and facing the challenges, waking up. Because after waking up, you feel sleepy because you had a heavy meal the previous night. And the body is still putting and conserving and kind of using energy for you to just digest the meal that you had the previous night. So you may have eaten a meal at 6 or 7 or 8, the case may be. You go to bed at 9 or 10. You have great difficulty waking up because the body has consumed energy in digesting that meal. So when you wake up, you still feel sleepy, you don't feel rested. In my case, I have found specifically, that's the reason why I steadfastly avoid, and I try as much as possible to kind of avoid having more than one meal. And it is just me. I'm not saying it is healthy. I'm not even prescribing it for others. It's just me. I find it very difficult. So I kind of restrict myself to one meal in the morning, and then in the evening it is something small, very small, just to keep the stomach active a little bit. Only that I'm able to cope with in terms of digestion, because my digestive system is weak. So you will have to work around and figure out that yes, it is wonderful for me to eat nicely and having a full stomach. It is wonderful for me to eat different kinds of food stuff at different times. It is healthy, so on and so forth. But let me rearrange my life so that I can chant and surrender my body first. Am I surrendering my body? Am I surrendering my senses? My senses are still struggling, where my senses are saying, prioritize me in front of Krishna. That is a challenge which many of us face. The senses are telling us, prioritize. I am your priority. I am your priority. I am your priority. So we have to kind of work to ensure that the senses are taking second stage and we put ourselves in the front. The Ekadasi fasting that we do, it is required. It is required because it wakes us up, it purifies us, it points to the fact that you can forego a meal. See, the mind is extraordinary. The mind acts on experiences, right? If you wake up at a certain time every day, and as soon as you wake up, for the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you go through a certain set of activities, and you do it continuously, and this is a Western study. You do anything continuously for 21 days, it becomes a habit. So 21 days is the struggle, after which it becomes a part of you. So you wake up, and then you go through a pattern. You set a place in the house, one place, not 10 places. one place in the house where you will chant japa. You will not move away from that place. You will always use that place consistently. You will be consistently be able to train the body. The mind will not interfere because you're waking up at a certain time. The moment you wake up, you do what you need to do, right? Some of you feel that you need to have a bath, so be it. Some of you feel that it's easier for you to chant, so be it. There are many sadhus in Vrindavan who wake up at 2 o'clock, they wash their feet, mouth, pick up the beads and sit and start chanting. They are eager to taste the nectar of holy names. They don't waste their time in the morning. It's only at 7 in the morning that they even decide, okay, next step is go have a proper bath, come back, put tilak and start deity worship and so on.
Then they sleep in the afternoon?
Huh? That depends. They don't. They wake up, they go to bed early. See, they go to bed early and they wake up early. Because they don't waste their time watching TV. Simple. They don't waste their time watching TV, so they wake up early, they go to bed early. Those days, remember, there was no TV. In Vrindavan, typical sadhu doesn't have a TV. Maybe he does these days, but those days, there was no such thing as TV. You know, sundown, electricity is down, the melatonin levels in the body start rising. You don't need pills to go to bed because the body and the atmosphere and everything is kind of oriented towards going to bed. Activity in the village completely stops. You know, I don't know, I stayed in Ekachakra Dham for 5 days. This time around, we were there for 5 days. 100% village. Absolutely no modern amenity because most of the village doesn't have electricity. 6 o'clock in the evening, complete shutdown. Complete. You can't see anything. You cannot see who is in front of you on the road because it's completely shut down. So how do you even, waste your time in such circumstances? So our brahmacharis and everybody, they go to bed early, they wake up very early, they have no problem because everything shuts down practically. So village life or life which was Vedic life, it was especially suitable for cultivation of devotional service. So I guess, Thomas Alva Edison, we thank him, there's light here. But, you got to realize, you got to know how to manage him. His lighting does interfere with enlightenment. Right? People are not able to wake up because, you have people having struggles just going to bed. You need pills. These are extraordinary circumstances. It is normal for a person to sleep. Our Shastras are full of examples of people being able to sleep and then get up and, people having a problem sleeping more. But the opposite happens these days. People have to take pills for sleeping.
I have a problem sleeping more. Sleeping more.
Sleeping more, yeah. Well, you probably can share it with people who can't sleep. Shift those problems. So the point which I'm trying to make here is work on the body. If you want to know in terms of surrender where you are, work on the body and see how responsive the body is to different aspects of it. You will be able to calibrate yourself. You will know what to work on. Because the more the body becomes making itself available for devotional service, you will know that the next stage, the mind and the words will follow. The more difficulty there is in even controlling the body and the senses, you have a problem. And the most important sense that has to be controlled is the tongue. Eating. If we eat and honor food that is not cooked by devotees, it is not prasad, it will not help us. It will not help us. Be very careful. It will not help us cultivate devotional service. It won't. And it will cause problems in the other senses becoming active. Prasad has the potency to purify all the senses. This would give us problems in other senses becoming active. Yeah.
So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is telling about family also in this verse. So, what about extended senses?
Extended senses are difficult.
So how?
That is why the prior verse was all about humility, accepting the plan of Krishna and having the courage to act upon it. Extended family is something that you do not have the ability to control because that's what it is. So you accept it as Krishna's plan and understand that the external family is a circumstance which is basically trying to help you focus rather than taking away your focus. One fundamental principle we have to remember: Krishna never puts circumstances in our life that can take us away from Krishna consciousness. Please remember this. We put circumstances in our life that take us away from Krishna consciousness. So whatever is happening, which we see as a specific challenge, is our poor planning and our desires. So we have to understand that this is the manifestation of our desires. It is complex, but with the help of Krishna, I would have the courage to be able to go through it. So you accept it as Krishna's plan and go through it. That's how you accept it. So we spoke on the body. We'll speak on words. The words are controlled by the use of the tongue. The more time that is spent in chanting, the less time would go into prajalpa. Have you noticed on days in which you really do very good chanting, the consciousness is such that you don't really have any motivation to discuss things other than Krishna. It becomes a struggle to discuss things other than Krishna. Have you noticed that? It's a matter of experience. If you really chanted well, it is not a problem. Words immediately are controlled as well. When the body is controlled, words get controlled. So we want to weigh it. Right? Srila Prabhupada used to give the example of frogs. He used to say, frogs in the well, right? Or frogs in the pond. What do? They're constantly croaking. They're constantly croaking, and the sound vibration does nothing but attract snakes. The snakes can pinpoint where they are and they come and eat them up. So it's like inviting emerald. There is a loss of energy whenever we speak. The prana goes out. If it is used in Krishna's service, you feel invigorated. If it is not used in Krishna's service, you feel drained. Right? Sometimes you deal with people, you feel drained. I just spoke to this person for 1 hour. I feel completely down. The prana goes out because what you are doing was not supposed to be done. It goes out. Sometimes you hear problems, it goes down. The prana goes down. Right? Because you're taking on energies. So you got to be very careful in understanding that our words have to be monitored. Remember, consciousness drives thoughts. Thoughts drive words. Right? Words drive actions. Actions become habits. Habits influence character. Consciousness, chanting, would drive thoughts, which are nothing but desires. Those desires would drive what kind of words are going to come out of our mouth. Because we're going to say, see, this is speaking into ether. Don't take it lightly. When you speak into ether, you cannot see, but there are devas all around. There are devas, there are beings all around who have the capacity to make things happen. When we speak inauspicious things will take place because someone is hearing. And the plans go into motion. Because you're speaking into ether. Plans go into motion. Ether is not to be taken lightly. Ether, right? We say 5 different elements. You have earth, water, fire, air, ether. Now ether is what exists in the atmosphere. When you whistle, right? When we whistle, okay, we break pathways in ether. That is how disembodied beings, ghosts, they travel. Whenever there's a sound break, they travel through that. This is something which is very important. Remember that whistling is not such a wonderful thing. In India they probably whistle. You're creating roads for people to travel. People you don't want to come close to you. So it's not such a wonderful thing. Disembodied being, ghosts, they travel through ether. That's the reason why they travel at the speed of sound. They travel when these pathways are created, high-pitched whistling and so on. This creates pathways and they come in through that. So the point which I'm trying to make is, whatever you speak, someone is hearing it. Please remember that. Whatever you speak, someone is hearing it. If you're going to be constantly focused on negatives, someone is hearing that and it will manifest itself. Be very careful. Words have to be very carefully thought out. No cursing of people. Yes.
So all kind of receptives are there. If we talk auspicious means all kind of receptacles are
That's because that's exactly what it is. If you constantly are focused on talking auspicious activities, if you're constantly going to be positive and you're going to be spreading about how you can plan and energize for Krishna consciousness and so on and so forth, then There's someone hearing you. What did I say before? Consciousness drives thoughts, thoughts drive words. So a lot has happened before the tongue touches the teeth and words start come out. A lot has happened. There has been consciousness, there have been thoughts, and then words come out. So there's no such thing as people just speaking without thinking. It doesn't happen that way. There's been a lot of thought. It's a part of the consciousness. It is spitting out now. Circumstances. Be very careful with surrendering your words, because words are extraordinarily important. We want to be able to use that energy in the service of the Lord. That energy is best used if the body is used nicely. So if you're using the body to accept Krishna Prasadam, you're using the body to serve Krishna nicely, the limbs, then your words that come out would be auspicious, because your consciousness would be higher and you'll be able to speak the right kind of things. And then finally comes manas, which is the mind.
You also, I don't know, I'm sorry. You also said once that we attract people according to our consciousness. So is that related, like even now you are saying words, whatever words we speak, there are some receptacles that hear the things from them. So are they not related both?
They are.
When our conscious, you know?
They are, because you see, I'll tell you, you can go as far much as saying that there's something called organizational consciousness. In an organization, there is consciousness. How is that consciousness established? The purpose of that organization and the purpose and the means for that organization will establish the consciousness of that organization. The mission statement, the goals, so on and so forth. Such mission statement, goals, and the organizational consciousness will attract the certain kind of employees into it. They will come there because they get attracted to it, just as much as certain kind of worship attracts certain kind of souls. Right? Someone is in the mode of ignorance, they get attracted to a certain method of worship, which is beneficial for them. So we will have to be very careful where the consciousness is. That is going to be taken care of automatically when we ensure that we chant nicely. That will ensure that our thought patterns are positive. Because if you chant nicely, the purification would allow us to think clearly, and we would be able to know what our priorities are. The thought patterns would drive words. You don't have to make an extra endeavor. Again, it goes back to preparing the body to chant nicely. Everything else gets taken care of. In good fortune or in bad, please repeat after me. In good fortune or in bad, in life or at death, all my difficulties have disappeared by choosing those feet of yours as my only shelter. Again, this goes back to Dainya. Good fortune or bad, life or death, all my difficulties have disappeared by choosing those feet of yours as my only shelter. This is Dainya, humility, accepting one's circumstances as Krishna's plan. And then surrendering. Automatically, everything else falls in place. And then he is telling Krishna, what is the prayer made to Krishna? Slay me or protect me as you wish.
Slay me or protect me as you wish.
For you are the master of your eternal servant. Slay me or protect me as you wish. It's your property. I am your property. Do with me as you please, Krishna. Do with me as you please. See, one of the prayers, extraordinarily potent prayers, which was given by my spiritual master, was a prayer which I have shared many times with the congregation. The prayer was that, Srila Prabhupada, give me whatever you need, whatever you think I need, abundantly, for me to be a better servant of yours. In the original book he had written, give me whatever you need for me to be a better servant of yours, whether auspicious or inauspicious. He had written that. Now he said, take away whatever needs to be taken away from me for me to be a better servant. Okay? Take away whatever needs to be taken away from me for me to be a better servant. These are prayers of Atma Nivedana. Take away. And this is coming from someone whose only focus is, I want to be able to chant better. Krishna, do what you need to do. If you make me deceased, I'm fine. If you make me poverty stricken, I'm fine. If you want to make me a millionaire, I'm fine. If you give me position, I'm fine. Take away position, I'm fine. I want to chant better. And the second principle is things which we consider auspicious and inauspicious. The second principle is, again, take away. Take away whatever you want to take away from me. I might think something is precious, but if that is going to keep me away from chanting the holy names, that should be taken away from me. I don't want it.
It becomes more difficult to chant.
The idea is that we do not know what is it which we really require. We think we require health. We think we require plenties. We do not know. Krishna knows what we as a specific soul, what do we need to experience for us to be able to improve better. He knows. So this is putting ourselves in His hands, saying, I am desperate, I am helpless, I want to chant, please help me, do what you need to do, take away whatever needs to be taken away from me. I have probably created a complex life. Take away the parts of the complex life which will make it easier for me to focus on the holy names. Think about this. Think about this. This prayer is a very, very potent prayer. Honestly, I have chanted this for years. Initially, I felt very vulnerable. I spoke of this to my spiritual master when he was on the planet. I told him, Guru Maharaj, this prayer makes me feel quite vulnerable. Imagine waking up and telling Krishna, take away whatever you want to take away. And he had this also. He said, sabotage all the activities that I perform which are not in line with the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So going to work, and then making this statement saying, you sabotage all the activities that I perform which are not in line with your mission. Right? This was a prayer which I was asked to chant. Many of us were asked to chant in Mayapur in 1997, because this was actually telling Krishna, take over my life because I have made it a mess. I have made it a mess. You take over, you realign so that I can move forward and I can chant. I used to feel so vulnerable chanting it. I went and approached him. I approached him and I told him, Gurudev, I have this problem. How do I chant this? He said, what is it which you are so afraid of? This is about receiving Krishna's love. And for Krishna's love, you should be able to move all the obstacles away so the pathway opens up, so that the love comes in. What are you so afraid of? And I was still not convinced. I was faithless. Then, we were in Gitanagari, and there was a meeting held. Not a meeting, there was a session. It was a workshop. It was a workshop for prayers. The workshop for prayers where they put different Srimad Bhagavatam prayers, verses in a basket, and every one of us has to pick one. And the idea was that if you pray to Srila Prabhupada, you would be given specific verses that are most suitable for you. So we all made our prayers to Prabhupada before picking up a chit. It's like picking up a chit. It is all closed, you cannot see the verse. I picked up my verse, and this verse was all about surrender. This verse was all about being able to tell Krishna to do whatever he pleases so that I could move forward. It was like a miracle. My spiritual master is sitting there. Then I was asked to speak. He encouraged me. He said, speak about your circumstances. So there were like 300 people. So, you have to open out and tell the Vaishnavas about your circumstances, saying I was afraid to chant. I was afraid to chant this prayer. But then I continued. But what I noticed was this, devotees. When I started chanting this prayer, it's been around more than 8 years now. And this used to be a part of my daily prayers. What this helped was these prayers would help one cross anartha nivarti very rapidly. Anarthas are that which have no meaning in life. We have so many anarthas in our consciousness. These prayers uproot all the anarthas and help one cross the anartha nivarti stage very rapidly.
Even if we don't have that intensity,
it is okay. The intensity would come, because if that is what you need, because you're praying to Prabhupada saying, give me whatever I need. So he would give you intensity. But understand this. Understand that at all times, Krishna loves us. Prabhupada loves us. They have made all the arrangements that are necessary for us to go back. We are calling out saying that the circumstances of my life are the arrangements that I have made are suboptimal. I have not really thought it through because my intelligence is not so fixed. I have made arrangements thinking that, okay, this arrangement is good, that arrangement is good, that plan is good for the future. Now we are telling Prabhupada, I have messed up. I don't want that independence, Prabhupada. Take away this independence. You do the planning for me. And Prabhupada does the planning. That's the beauty of this. See, crossing Anartha Nivarti is extraordinarily important. If you do not cross Anartha Nivarti, this is one lifetime. If you can compress everything which you have to experience in one lifetime, then you just go through it and you cross it and you go rapidly up. Yes?
If we took that in one lifetime, can it be very, very difficult?
It may be, but that is exactly how it is. We depend on Krishna and he gives us the courage. Krishna's planning and Yogamaya's blessings are such that they would not want to break us. They want to support us and help us move forward. Okay? So think about this prayer before you chant. Think about it, reflect on it, become more comfortable and chant. Okay? Become more desperate. So this is what I meant. I have been told what is surrender, but I have to be able to desire it. And I have told you now that this is a pathway to surrender. How many of you want to take it up? Desire it. This is tough. Think about it, take it up, desire it, and say, there's nothing more important in my life than being able to chant nicely. Do whatever you need to do so that my circumstances would be such that I would call out your names. Extraordinarily potent, because this is the fundamentals of this has to do with how Srila Rupa Goswami has given defined pure devotional service. What has he said? Pure devotional service, what is the definition? Anakulis, huh? Anyabilashita shunyam jnana karma janavritam bhaktir uttama. So uttama bhakti is our goal, and Srila Rupa Goswami has said anya abhilashita shunyam. Anya abhilashita essentially means that I do not have any other ambition other than wanting to chant. Abhilashita, the ta essentially means that we still have the ability to call out, or rather desire, the fundamentals. Fundamentals meaning, for example, I am walking alone in the middle of the night, right? And I am attacked by a group of, hooligans, a gang of robbers, whatever the case may be. Nothing wrong in calling out Krishna's name, seeking protection at that time. It does not interfere with pure devotional service, where it is not considered to be body consciousness. So that is why it is not Anya Abhilashita, it's Anya Abhilashya, it is Anya Abhilashita. There's a word tha which is associated with it. One is very, very hungry. Nothing wrong in being able to eat or drink water. This does not interfere, because these are all survival aspects. It does not interfere with pure devotional service. But then one is very, very hungry, one should not expect chapan bhog. That's a different story altogether. I need 56 dishes just to feel satisfied. Okay, that's a different story. Okay, so now we have seen how we can actually cross. Slay me or protect me as you wish. This goes back to, that's where we started. If it is your will that I be born again, then may it be in the home of your devotee. If it is your will that I be born again, I have no problem. May it be in the home of your devotee, because I can keep in touch with you. May I be born again even as a worm, so long as I remain your devotee. I have no desire to be born as a Brahma, adverse to you. So, Anyabhilashita shunyam, there is absolutely nothing I desire which will take me away from you. If being Lord Brahma means that I'm going to move away from you, I don't want that position. Atmanivedana. May I be, I yearn for the company of that devotee who is completely devoid of all desire for worldly enjoyment or liberation. I yearn for the company, association. See, the Sangha of a devotee is extraordinarily important, especially of one who doesn't have such worldly desires. Because that Sangha is so potent that it can deliver us from worldly desires. Now, worldly desires necessarily is not question of manifestation. Remember, in the Acharya Parampara, who do you see before Bhaktivinoda Thakur? Okay, after.
Gaur Kishore Das.
Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was the king of renunciants, where he used to be so renounced, he used to wear the shroud which used to cover a dead body. Okay? The dead body which used to come to the cremation ground, it covers, there's a shroud. He used to pick up that cloth, just put it in the Ganges, he used to wear that. He used to stay in the cremation ground for some time. He used to chant. He used to chant in the toilet. He was the epitome of renunciation. But who did he consider to be a Siksha Guru? Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And how many children did Bhaktivinoda Thakur have?
10.
More than 11. I think 13 children. He was a deputy magistrate. He had position, he had power. The British government set up a railroad so that he could get into a train just in front of his house. Even now you can see the tracks in Surabhikonj. If you go there, you can see tracks where the train used to stop to pick him up. Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a train for himself. He used to get into the train and sit on the floor because the entire village used to be in the train. Everybody used to be on the seats. So he is, so the point which you're trying to make here is, Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj, who is a Paramahamsa, thought that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is my Siksha Guru, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur was not a renunciant, he was a Grahastha. So our parampara never is based on ashrama. It is not based on externals. It is based on the essence. Do you realize that? So this is not about giving up. This is about who has the consciousness of having Krishna constantly in the center. Seek their association because they would constantly be able to help us keep Krishna in the center. Father, mother, lover, son, Lord, preceptor and husband. You're everything to me. Practically everything is Krishna. Everything is Krishna. To me, you are everything. This is Atma Nivedana. I am completely dependent on all pleasures on Nanda Kishore. This is Vraja. Remember, we are trying to cultivate the consciousness of Vrindavan. Vrindavan consciousness means there's nothing in my mind other than Krishna. Everyone in Vrindavan is just constantly thinking that, oh, what is my Nanda Kumar doing? What is Nanda Kishore doing? He's constantly thinking about the mothers. When they prepare food, they don't want to feed their children. They're thinking, this would be nice for Krishna. Let me prepare. The elders of the village gather around and they want to discuss, like Panchayat. They gather around. What do they discuss? They discuss Krishna. They end up discussing about Krishna because that is the center of their lives. Nothing. This is Vraja. Vraja means Krishna is in the center. Nothing else is in the mind. Everything is related to Krishna. Everything is related to Krishna. Everything is dovetailed to Krishna. This is Vraj. We are aspiring for that consciousness. Please remember that. In that consciousness, I see nothing but Krishna. That is the consciousness we are aspiring for. That is the gift of the holy names. Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, O Kana, please hear me. O Lord of Radha, you are my life and soul. Okay, so this is Atma Nivedana. So we picked up a few things from here. The most important we picked up was that we need to be able to make our desires aligned. We need to be able to ensure that we can stay before Krishna and tell him what my desires are. My desire is to chant purely. We should have the ability. Atma Nivedana. Atma Nivedana means, Krishna, this is my only focus. Do what you need to do so that I can chant Krishna, please. This is Atma Nivedana. The ability to make such prayers. Be able to surrender. Okay? Mind, body and family. It starts with body. It starts with the body. Regulate the body. That is surrender. Follow the instructions of the spiritual master by chanting nicely and regulative principles. And then the words will automatically get regulated. And then you have Geha. Everything else will also fall in place. You will be able to surrender. Until such time the body surrenders, it's a challenge. So you will have to work on it. When we say keep Krishna in the center, keep Krishna in the center when you wake up and when you go to bed. Sadhana is 24/7. What you eat, when you go to bed, and what you do during the day affects what you do in the morning. What you do in the morning affects the rest of the day. It's all connected. Okay? I think we'll stop here. Right? We took an extra hour. We'll stop here. And then I think we can break for prasadam. and then we probably have 1 more hour, and we can finish everything else. Srila Prabhupada ki.
So which week again? In 1 hour?
1 hour. I would suggest 1 hour. Yeah.
We have the prasadam downstairs. Very good, yeah. Prasadam.
So they're doing it in 2 parts.
You are using a phone also for the conference? I think battery might be down.
Yeah, I think I'm just hearing the music, so it's probably no one on the.
There's no one on it. No, we
You can just turn it off.
I'll just turn it off and we'll put the another one. Yeah.
Great. Now, Krishna. Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I find myself in the world of fantasy. You say like